This is the story of a cook named Charles Joughin. Joughin was a cook on the Titanic. This man miraculously survived the sinking Titanic. He drank a lot of whiskey before the ship sank. Many say that drinking this whiskey was the reason for his survival.
Come on, give me your hand.
Friends, let's know the breathtaking survival story of human history. This story will surprise you. This story is well known in history, and the reason for this man's survival was finally explained by scientists. Sometimes the greatest strength of survival is not giving up until the last moment. This is the most incredible and unimaginable survival story in the history of the Titanic. Drinking whiskey is another survival logic that has surpassed science. To know why one should resort to science to understand the explanation of someone's survival, you need to know the whole story. The Titanic ship completely sank on the morning of April 15, 1912. The day before, on April 14 at 11:40 p.m., the ship hit a huge iceberg. The iceberg was about 200 to 400 feet long. It is estimated that the iceberg weighed about 150,000 to 300,000 tons. Just 2 hours and 40 minutes after the collision, at 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, it sank into the Atlantic Ocean. The Titanic sailed from Southampton, England, to New York City, America. This was the Titanic's very first and inaugural voyage. The ship began its historic first voyage on April 10, 1912, but unfortunately did not reach the end. There were about 2,240 people on the Titanic, including passengers and crew. But there was only room for 1,178 people in the 20 lifeboats on the ship. That is, even if all the boats were fully filled. There was no chance of saving about half of the people. A total of 705 passengers and sailors survived the worst shipwreck in history. One of them was Charles Joughin. He was the Titanic's chief baker or cook. People died within minutes of the Titanic sinking. At that time, the water temperature in the Atlantic Ocean was only -2 degrees Celsius, and due to the saltiness of the water, even when the seawater dropped below 0 degrees Celsius, it remained liquid without freezing. The ability of humans to survive in such extremely cold water is very limited. As soon as they fall into this icy water, the human body starts losing its normal temperature. This is called hypothermia. An ordinary person will definitely die in just 15 to 30 minutes in water at this temperature. But Joughin is the man who survived after floating in water for hours. How could this 33-year-old man stay afloat in the icy cold water of the Atlantic Ocean? Seeing the ship sinking, Joughin first tried to get into the lifeboat but did not voluntarily get into it. Charles Joughin was given the responsibility of captain or chief of lifeboat number 10. However, he was busy getting the women and children on the ship to safety instead of getting into the lifeboat himself. He thought that it would be selfish for him, as a male crew member, to take a seat in the lifeboat at this moment. Let the women and children cross over first. At that moment, the Titanic did not have enough lifeboats, and some of the lifeboats were damaged by that time. The ship was sinking. Joughin ran to the kitchen. There he drank a glass of whiskey. Before that, he had drunk a bottle when the alarm sounded. Then when the ship completely sank, he also drank whiskey. That is, he drank heavily before sinking that day. When the ship completely sank, he fell into the icy waters of the Atlantic. Surprisingly, he didn't panic at all, just tried to stay afloat. When rescuers found him 2 hours later, he was still alive. Is it just luck, or the magic of that whiskey? Later, a lifeboat rescued him. Sometimes the greatest strength of survival is not giving up until the last moment. This is the most incredible survival story in the history of the Titanic. Joughin drank whiskey and a survival logic that has surpassed even science. Medical science says that you can only float in that water below freezing point for 2 to 3 minutes. Then your body will slowly start to freeze. Your whole body will freeze and the blood circulation will stop. Hypothermia will occur. This means certain death. But the surprising fact is that Joughin floated in that bone-chilling cold water for about 2.5 hours. He was just a cook on the Titanic, but his humane behavior has made its place in history. And what happened is still a mystery to medical science. The whiskey created a strange shield on his body. Even though the blood circulation was maintained, the cold outside worked slowly. However, was it his boundless mental strength that kept him alive? He told himself underwater, "I am a cook, I work in front of the fire. I can stand the heat, so I can stand the cold." This morale of his was what kept him going, and this morale was so strong that even the vast waters of the Atlantic could not overcome him. As a result, even though 1,517 people on the Titanic died that night, but Joughin survived. The rescue ship picked him up while he was still afloat. His body temperature was below the level of pneumonia. But he was smiling, then he lived for another 30 years. Not just whiskey, his willpower defied certain death. Is it surprising? When the ship was sinking, he was not a man trembling with fear of death, but was sitting calmly in his cabin drinking whiskey. Medical science says that death from hypothermia was inevitable in such cold. But the alcohol in Joughin's body created an invisible shield inside his body, and his infinite mental strength made it even stronger. Standing at the door of death, a man did not cry for a lifeboat, but waited calmly, looking into the eyes of death. This incredible story of survival will remain immortal in history. It will inspire people to survive even in the face of such adversity. Willpower is what keeps us alive. Keep your eyes on for more such thrilling and unknown truths of history.